So we've used that next-gen power and tech in a few different ways, and I'd like to go on about them. First up is ray tracing. Ray tracing is a system for calculating the reflection of light to make it look more realistic. This is something that we can only do on next-gen hardware. One place that its benefits are obvious is how much better the reflections of the player and the background look in puddles on the floor. Another good example is when you see the player's reflection in a window. You can really see that the light's reflection is being calculated properly. So, until now, we've done a pretty good job of faking it without ray tracing using the hardware we've had up until now, but this time it's the real deal. It's all being calculated. It also really improves atmospheric effects. You'll be able to see that on some videos and slides that show how this looks and compare them and see the difference. Yeah, the dev teams were hard at work on all of this. Next-gen consoles can do a lot more than just ray tracing, though. So we wanted to utilize all of their capabilities. So another thing we've added is high frame rate mode. If you activate high frame rate mode, and you're using a monitor that supports 120 Hertz, it'll let you play the game at a blistering 120 frames per second. On top of that, we also have 3D audio. So if you're playing with headphones, you'll be able to experience a depth of sound and a sense of 3D presence like never before. Dude, you sound like a next-gen infomercial. I mean, duh, that's what we're going for. We're making a next-gen title, so it'd be waste not to use all of the next-gen features for the next-gen, get all that next-gen power out. Aside from all of that, we're also making proper use of the PlayStation 5's new DualSense controller features, aren't we? Yeah, like haptic feedback. So for example, Nero's Blue Rose and Dante's Ebony and Ivory, and maybe some others also have haptic feedback effects, so definitely try assigning those. The DualSense controllers also have something called adaptive triggers. The triggers themselves can provide feedback to the player. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Well, they definitely are a new sort of feeling, I think. They have some resistance to them. Right, like you're opening up the throttle on a motorbike, vroom vroom. Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday. The feeling of revving a throttle, the haptic feedback gives you a realistic sense of that through your fingers, I think. Make sure you give it a try once you can get your hands on the hardware. All right, let's move on to the next slide. The next slide is Turbo Mode. This doesn't really have much to do with next gen, but we did have a lot of requests for it, so we thought, why not? Let's put it in special edition. Turbo Mode lets you play the game at 1.2x speed. Nice. Turbo really is stylish, and I think it really suits the DMC aesthetic, right? It's really hard to play, though. Everything comes at you a lot faster, so if you're not used to it, it's like your fingers won't even move quick enough to deal with it. Your muscle memory, kind of starts to work against you because the extra speed means your timing will be off. Muscle memory makes it kind of hard. The EX Act and the Max Act with it will probably get particularly intense. You basically have to relearn everything from scratch, but it's a mode that really suits the Devil gameplay, so I'd recommend that people who've already played through 5 maybe just try playing with Turbo Mode right from the start. Turbo Mode isn't the only new mode, though. We've got more. You'll figure this out right from the picture, but this is the legendary Dark Knight mode. Look how awesome it is, right? Look at all these bad guys. So 4 had this mode as well, but the step up in hardware capability this time is quite impressive. So we're able to throw a huge number of enemies at you right from the start. It looks like a completely different game. So yeah, like fancy hardware and a couple of extra modes. But that's it for this game, right? That's all we got for you. Dude, no, you're forgetting the coolest things. This is like the best part. Come on. So So by popular demand, we've added Virgil mode, where you can have him as a playable character. So we're going to introduce that now. You know, that's what you're all here for, right? We heard you all loud and clear, kind of. You all wanted virtual mode, so you're expecting us to show you some like gameplay footage as well. And Matt's going like, whoa, 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 hold on. Maybe that's not the best idea from a marketing perspective. You've got to keep some material in reserve, you know. Video. So you can see the difference when you switch from off to on. The reflections change quite a lot, don't they? They become a lot more dynamic. And it really brings the scene together. It makes it a lot clearer. The dark in the areas, the dark and the light areas pop a lot more. Kind of the contrast is much clearer. So it makes for a cleaner image. Also, do you see how it's calculating how the light is bouncing off of things? That is called real-time ray tracing. It makes you wonder how those reflection effects worked without it, right? Easy. The old effects were powered by the blood, sweat, and tears of the dev team. Ooh, these atmospheric effects are really nice too. Right, next up is Turbo Mode. Turbo Mode, Turbo Mode, Turbo Mode. It is something that you know and love from the special edition of 3, Back Again from the Grave. So every time, you know, people are always asking for it. So what's the original point of the Turbo Mode? Well, originally it was from Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Of course, but back when we were doing the PAL edition of Devil May Cry 3 for European PAL standard TVs, they ran at 50 Hertz. So to make sure that that version had the same gameplay experience, we ran the game internally at 1.2x speed. That way, when the game ran at 50 Hertz, everything still moved the same as on the Japanese version, which was 60 Hertz. So we did that for the first time with DMC3. So playing at 60 Hertz with 1.2x boost turned out to be a lot of fun. And that was, and so we decided to end up leaving it because it was very fun. So, and this time it is the same speed, right? Yeah, it is. We tested at 1.32, but it just felt much better at 1.2 in the end. Matt's adding that that's the only sort of thing a legendary director and planner could figure out. And let's move on. Sorry about that. Click. Let's have a look at Turbo Mode in action. We made a nice video for it. So this is Nero, and you can see the same combo with Turbo Mode on and off for comparison. So you totally did this like 2 consoles and like a controller in each hand, right? No. So like we recorded it once, then we turned on Turbo Mode, and then we did it again. So, you know, just plain and simple, that's the easiest thing that we did. So, okay, V's movement also makes the difference really obvious. You can see the difference in the distance that they're traveling in the same amount of time. Doesn't it feel weird, though? Like, once you've played with Turbo Mode on, kind of going back to regular mode, it must feel pretty easy. Yeah, it feels really incredibly slow. You're like, dude, was it always this slow? Yeah, once you get a taste for Turbo Mode, there's no going back. And that's, you know, probably that feels why so many fans have been requesting it. By the way, Itsuno, you have another mode for us too, right? That's right. It is the legendary Dark Knight mode. It's an exciting mode where a huge amount of enemies will come at you. We're able to... I think we're able to show you that on actual hardware today. Kumabe, are you ready to do this? I'm super nervous, but yeah, I'll give it my best shot. Press start. Wow, dude, look at all of those enemies. Isn't this mission 1? Yep. I've never seen this many guys show up on mission 1 first. And look at Nero. It looks like he's got like these wings on him too, right? Yeah, that is his super character form. If you want to just play around with the legendary Dark Knight mode, using a super character is the perfect difficulty level. If you want a bit more difficulty, you can use a normal character. And then if you want to like make life really difficult for yourself, you can play with no power-ups and so on. So using super characters makes your attack radius a lot wider when you're using super characters and a Devil Trigger. Yeah, Devil Trigger does make things a lot easier. Rather, if you don't use Devil Trigger or other crowd fighting tools, you'll probably really struggle in this mode. But if you do play well enough in this, the style gauge fills up really quickly, right? Yeah, it's a great way to collect orbs and a good way to get red orbs. The next-gen consoles really pack a punch too, so we're able to get a lot more enemies on the screen than I expected. I doubt it was possible to show this many enemies and still have effects and image quality like this before. On the current-gen systems, we're right up against the limits of the hardware with just the regular number of enemies. And I'm not surprised, the graphics are amazing even for those systems after all. Great, shall we move on? Next up is All right, let's go. Whoa. Dude, look at all those enemies. Kumami, how many enemies are there about right now? Probably about 50. It's getting kind of insane over here. Oh wow, you went straight to Triple S. That was sweet. Dude, it is quite the party out here in Dante Land. So, last time I played this fight, I kind of think there was like maybe 10 of these guys at most, but now there's 50? Dang. Cavalier is perfect for this situation. Yeah, I can see why. It has a wide area of effect. It's also got some damage resistance as well, so it's very great here. Graphically speaking, there's effects flying everywhere too, which makes taking down that many enemies really satisfying. That is next-gen power for you, right? Started already. Matt's like, okay, you have 10 seconds. I will only let you show 10 seconds of this. Everybody's waiting, and now you can hear him counting down the amount of time you have. This is just everybody's getting super excited. Go, show him more. Be more flashy. Do all the crazy things. 2. We're on! And we're over! Itsuno was like, dude, that was not cool. Not cool, dude. Give him more time. So in Legendary Dark Knight mode, ray tracing, high frame rate mode, and other features DMC5 Special Edition, that wouldn't be possible without next-gen consoles right from day one. And we also made Virgil playable as well. So one thing that we have done, we've also trying to bring playable Virgil to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC as DMC5 DLC. We're planning on taking all the playable Virgil content from DMC5 Special Edition and bring it to the original platforms. So sorry that we don't have any more information for now, but please keep an eye out for more news about that. And you can see him, he's going, I bet people are like, oh, I'll no longer see people chanting Virgil DLC on my timeline. Ugh. Matt's like, all right, now time to recap. Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition is a next-gen launch title. You'll be able to play it on PlayStation 5 on its launch day, and you'll be able to play it on Xbox Series X on Xbox